Tonight, Ministry of Foreign Affairs come under intense pressure for failing to warn Ghanaian traders who ply the Burkina Faso route to do business of the dangers on the route in the wake of terrorist attacks in that country.
You know, when a state fails its people at their critical point of need, then words of sympathy almost don't mean anything.
Now, as that toll from the attacks on Ghanaians in Burkina Faso rises to 8, President John Mahama is revealing the Ghana Armed Forces is arranging to medically evacuate some injured Ghanaian traders from the country.
So the Ghana Army is arranging to medevac them from Burkina Faso so that those who are injured can continue to receive treatment here in Ghana.
We have more as the Food and Agric Ministry assures government is on course to achieve full-scale tomato production by end of the year as part of effort to reduce Ghana's reliance on imports.
Most of the traders go to Burkina Faso to go and trade, but I'm hoping that once irrigation schemes come into full force, that will reduce by half by the end of this year. I mean, we'll be in touch with your ministry and then also the Burkinabe officials to see whether we can give some of these tomato traders some form of security.
So the ministry is now advising Ghanaians on traveling to that country. We'll tell you much more about that here on Top Story, brought to you by Telecel, connecting energies, holy insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy holy sleep and show pension trust into the future with you. Now, tonight, Ministry of Foreign Affairs has come under intense pressure for failing to warn Ghanaian traders who ply the Burkina Faso route to do business of the dangers on that route in the wake of terrorist attacks in the country. Now, last week, some Ghanaian traders who had gone to buy tomato were attacked in Burkina Faso, with some being killed. We're now being told that death toll has now risen to 8, and that's according to the Foreign Affairs Ministry. And this is a security consultant says is a reactionary measure. We'll hear from him shortly, but first, a statement released on this issue notes that the 8th person was also a member of the Tomato Traders Association. My colleague Kenneth Gyasi joins me with details of that particular statement. Kenneth, I mean, what more is contained in the statement?
Well, in condemning the act of terror, the statement notes that the Ghana embassy in Burkina Faso is maintaining close contact with injured traders who will be evacuated today.
And in that statement, we are being told of new travel guidelines that have been issued to high-risk areas.
Yes, indeed. And the major ones are that, 1, Ghanaian citizens are advised to register with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs when traveling to areas of concern. A list of contact numbers for assistance is provided, which is emphasizing the government's commitment to ensuring the safety of Ghanaians. And 2, the statement is also advising restricted movement of Ghanaians who are already in the jurisdiction where violent extremism attacks have been recorded.
But does it give, I mean, these names of these areas as to where Ghanaians should and should not travel to? Is it contained in a statement?
No, it's not.
So that's my colleague Kenneth there will bring you another statement on this. But the president has been speaking, and he says evacuation of the injured will be done today. Speaking at an event, President Mahama stated that those injured will continue receiving treatment in Ghana.
Recently, some traders from Ghana went to Burkina Faso to buy tomatoes, and they were ambushed in a village where they were transacting, and armed insurgents, terrorist armed groups attacked, and unfortunately we lost a number of our compatriots. Happily, there are few survivors, and so the Ghana Army is arranging to medevac them from Burkina Faso so that those who are injured can continue to receive treatment here in Ghana. And so, on behalf of government and people, we express our condolences to the families of those who have.
Sorry for the poor quality there. But speaking on this development earlier today, Professor Kwesi Enin, a security analyst, teared into the ministry and the government for failing to alert Ghanaians of the impending dangers in Burkina Faso. He spoke to me earlier on the AM show on the Joy News channel.
Yet another missing link is that yesterday I asked one of your producers to check if any institution in Ghana has issued a travel advisory for those trading in Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, whether the Foreign Ministry, Ministry of Agri, Road Transport Union, Tomato Sellers Union. You know, when a state fails its people at their critical point of need, then words of sympathy almost don't mean anything. Because we all know that almost about 65 to 70% of Burkina Faso is almost under terrorist control, that the government is on the back foot, doing what it can, but it's tough. You know, so for our people to voluntarily travel to a war zone in search of livelihood, just tells a dramatic story. That as a people, apart from all the fantastic rhetoric, we are not doing that. And I think the Honorable in your studio made this point about agriculture. So there are lots of missing links, and I think we need to strip the emotion or the emotions from this conversation and ask ourselves what is really happening. Youth unemployment is massive. Look, a lot of practical, implementable suggestions have been made around what can be done for the youth.
So that is the security consultant, Professor Kwesi Enin there. Meanwhile, in the Bono region, the incident has heightened fears among traders who regularly travel outside Ghana to purchase tomatoes. They have renewed calls for the government to invest in local irrigation to prevent traders from risking their lives, as they pursue their trade. Joy News' Anna Sabit has some details.
I've been speaking with the leadership of the tomato sellers, and they tell me that the journey into Burkina Faso has always been a struggle, a gamble with logistics, with border issues, and now with their very lives. They are appealing directly to the government of President John Mahama to invest heavily in irrigation. Reporting for Joy News, Alas Sabit.
So those were the traders complaining there. Now, we'll bring you much more about what the government or the ministry has been saying, but let's then bring you what the Chamber of Agribusiness has been speaking. They've launched a 5-year national tomato production strategy aimed at reversing heavy import reliance by investing 3.2 billion cedis to boost local production. Let's get more on the strategy. My colleague, Pearl Ofori, joins me with details for that. Pearl, what do we know?
Well, the chamber says that each year the nation loses approximately 5.7 billion cedis due to a crippling domestic tomato industry. They add that Ghana spends between 650 million cedis and 760 million cedis on foreign tomato products. Now, this includes the importation of up to 100,000 metric tons of fresh tomatoes, primarily from Burkina Faso, and a similar volume processed paste from Europe and Asia. Well, the chamber goes on to describe the heavy reliance on imports and the failure to build local processing infrastructure as a national emergency. That is why they have launched this ambitious strategy.
Interesting. On that same score, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture is also saying that they are on course to achieve full-scale tomato production by end of the year as part of effort to reduce Ghana's reliance on imports. John Dumelo, who's Deputy Minister, has been speaking on this.
Commenced trials with most of our irrigation schemes regarding tomato production. Currently, if you go to some of the irrigation schemes, especially in the north, we've started the trials with the tomato production, and hopefully by the end of this year, we would be in full swing in terms of tomato production. Most of the time, around this time, that most of the traders go to Burkina Faso to go and trade. But I'm hoping that once most of these irrigation schemes come into full force, that will reduce by half by the end of this year. I mean, if you go to Tono irrigation, the FSRP, which is the West Africa Food System Resilience Program, they are doing trials with about 50 to 60 acres. We are seeing how that one is going. When you go to Akomedan as well, we are doing some trials with some of the tomato varieties. Some are doing well, some are not doing well.
What happens to the concerns of shortage of tomato between now and the end of the year when you are looking forward to vamping up our local production of tomatoes?
We'll be in touch with your ministry and then also the Burkinabe officials to see whether we can give some of these tomato traders some form of security aid to be able to move in Burkina Faso and come back. And so that is what we are doing now.
This is the top story, and what we're talking about is the fact that we're being told that the death toll of in the attack of Ghanaians in Burkina Faso have risen to 8. Now, last week, some traders had gone to the country to bring in tomatoes, but they were attacked, and some died in the process. Now, security consultant Kwesieni is saying that government failed to issue travel advisory to Ghanaians. We've been joined on the line by Samuel Abdullahi Janapo. He's ranking member, Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration Committee of Parliament. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us here. Now, I mean, what do you members of the committee have to say in this when, according to Prof. Saining, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs had to issue warning to Ghanaians who had any intention of traveling to Burkina Faso but failed to do so?
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Janapo, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Janapo, can you hear me?
Sorry, I was in the chamber, sorry.
Okay, so I want to get the reaction.
Sorry, I'm really sorry.
Okay, but can you hear me now?
I can hear you clearly now.
Okay, so I want to find out from you what members of your committee make of what happened in Burkina Faso when this could possibly have been averted.
First of all, this is extremely disturbing. This is very, very worrying. As you know, this has never happened in our country before. This is about the first time Ghana is experiencing an almost terrorist attack in this manner. We are told that the death toll is gone up.
Yeah, 8 now.
Indeed, we have we've not gotten a full briefing on this matter as a committee, and that is also very worrying. We think that this is a big wake-up call to the national security architecture apparatus of our country. And as many security experts have pointed out, particularly the respected Dr. Kwesieni, then Mr. Manuel Bombandi and co., this is a clear intelligence failure. And to that extent, we believe that we should have some sort of an independent inquiry into this matter, to get into this matter, to assemble all the facts, and be able to inform our country and its agencies and state apparatus to be able to be on top of future occurrences such as this. Look, Accra Initiative was something that was brought into being by the Akufo-Addo government. And Accra Initiative really was a major framework and platform which helped our country when it comes to intelligence sharing along the coast, Ghana, Benin, Nigeria, Togo, and indeed at some stage, Burkina and Mali all came to play. Thirdly, we also believe that our government should be careful in terms of its alignment, open and manifest alignment when it comes to the conflict in Burkina Faso. It has consequences. As we speak today, the allegation is that in Burkina Faso, our government is seen to be aligned with the government of Burkina Faso against the jihadists. We don't quarrel, or we are not against Ghana's government playing a major role within the sub-region in terms of peace building and all of that. But I think posturing also counts, and therefore we are told that Ghanaian citizens seems to be seen as targets by the jihadists in Burkina Faso.
From where you say it, do you have the concrete evidence that Ghana has aligned?
Well, as I say, the Ghanaian government is very much encouraged. I mean, the Ghanaian government is expected to be a leader when it comes to sub-regional peace building. The Akufo-Addo government did a similar thing within the auspices of the Accra Initiative, and I think that the efforts President Mahama and his government are making to bring Burkina, the Sahelian states, within the ambit of ECOWAS are all to be encouraged. But the point we are making is we should be, in so doing, minded of the safety of our citizens, so that we don't become unnecessary targets when it comes to the activities of the jihadists in the Sahelian region of West Africa. That is exactly the point we are making. But to conclude, I think that this is such a major dent on the national security architecture and apparatus of our country. And if there was one incident in these 11 months of the Mahama administration which will prick the conscience and wake the security couples of our country up, it should be this incident. And I believe that an independent inquiry into it will really help to unravel the circumstances surrounding this matter.
Is that what you'll be calling for on the floor of Parliament?
Indeed, tomorrow a statement is to be made on the floor of Parliament, and this is exactly what the minority is going to be calling for, that we need a clear investigation. I mean, if you take a critical look at our history, with the exception of the unfortunate killing of Ghanaians in Gambia in the era of the first MPP administration, this is about the worst casualties our country has suffered outside the shores of our country, outside the territory of Ghana, on foreign soil. It should be a major concern for all the actors in the body politic of Ghana. And we are going to raise that matter on the floor of Parliament tomorrow, that we need an independent inquiry into this matter.
At least in the meantime, there will be some traders who try to go to Burkina to buy and return. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has issued, finally, a travel advisory to Ghanaians. How must we safeguard Ghanaians who would intend going to Burkina to do business?
Well, I think the call by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is to be welcomed, first of all. But the call is not enough. The call itself is not sufficient. Because as we all know, trading between our compatriots and our neighbors is a daily reality. People in Lomé travel to Aflao, and people in Aflao travel to Togo to trade on a daily basis. That is their daily existence and reality. So is the case in the northern border of our country, as is the case in the western border of our country. So a call alone is not sufficient. It is a necessary call by no means, but it's not sufficient. I think that the government should put in place urgent contingency security measures to protect Ghanaian citizens and not to rely on a call alone, because I'm dead sure that there will be Ghanaians who will not heed to this call and who will, as a matter of necessity, continue with their daily realities of existence, of livelihood, of trading between our country and our neighboring countries. What is required is to have the necessary security arrangements to protect Ghanaians. This has never happened in the history of our country before, where Ghanaian women have gone on their daily business of trading in neighboring countries and been killed in such gruesome manner. I mean, this is such a major dent on the conscience of our nation. And that's why we are calling for this investigation. And that's why we think a call alone is not enough. Government will have to step up its game.
But let me appreciate the call for the investigation. When this happened in Burkina Faso, they went to do their trade and the unfortunate situation happened. What would the investigation unravel?
Say that again, sorry.
I want to understand what the investigation will unravel. What do you intend to achieve with it when this happened in Burkina Faso?
I think beyond the corridors of governmental action, Parliament, for example, should take this up, and the circumstances surrounding this matter should be something that the Security and Intelligence Committee, Security, Defense and Intelligence Committee of Parliament should be very interested in, so that the representatives of the people being Parliament will be appraised of this matter for consequential steps or actions to be taken.
Okay.
Because as I say, this is totally unprecedented. This has never happened before in our country. This is a major development, and it goes further to heighten the sense of insecurity in our country, particularly in our neighboring within our neighboring countries. And as I say, the previous government had this Accra initiative, had all kinds of measures and collaborations with our neighbors to ensure that Ghana was shielded from terrorist attacks such as this for 8 years. And we've had this particular situation. Yes, the Minister for Interior indicated yesterday that he's in touch with his counterpart. That is warmly welcome. The Foreign Minister's call on traders not to travel is also welcomed. But I think more should be done. Certainly more should be done.
I'm grateful to you, Samuel Abujinapo, for joining us here. He is ranking member, Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration Committee of Parliament. Dr. Ishmael Holovo Kwabla is international relations expert. Thank you for joining. What options are available for the Ghanaian government to explore in trying to create that conducive environment for its citizens who would intend traveling to do business in Burkina?
Thank you very much. Good evening to your listeners. First of all, we must understand that the terrorist situation in Burkina Faso will not go away anytime soon because it has been a long-standing issue. And therefore, the best Ghana can do is to continue to collaborate with the authorities in Burkina Faso, that is the government of Burkina Faso, to try as much as possible to know places where Ghanaian traders normally operate, and then try and build up security in those areas. And then it must also come with a little bit of intelligence sharing, so that places where the Burkina Faso government designates as safe, those are the places that the government will be advising Ghanaians to go. Beyond that, we must then recognize that if we leave Burkina Faso alone to fight these menace, and they are unable to do so, we should not be surprised if these occurrences soon find their way to our shores. So any talk of collaboration with Burkina Faso must also include any form of assistance that we can give to Burkina Faso to be able to defeat the jihadists. That does not necessarily mean that we are taking the side of the government. The point is that Burkina Faso is under siege from terrorists, and therefore you just don't have an option than to deal with the lawful government. Either you consider it as a military leader or whatever. You have to deal with them to try and deal with this situation before it gets too close to you.
The ministry has issued a travel advisory to Ghanaians. As we speak, your suggestion or proposal is that they should connect with the other counterpart in Burkina to ensure how they could have a safe passage for Ghanaians. Is that it?
Yes, of course. So, for instance, we know that there are territories that are very much targeted by the terrorists. There are areas in Burkina Faso that always is under some level of attack. So it is collaboration that you will get to know which areas are more prone to terrorist attack, which areas are relatively safe, and so that you have a kind of arrangement where maybe there is transportation of those tomatoes to a market that is relatively safe for Ghanaian traders and other traders from the West African sub-region, and that is fair. And so perhaps the only thing is that the travel advisory is coming a little bit too late, but it's not all the same. We must accept it like that. It must be more regular, monitoring the situation, issuing advisory as and when you realize that there is a potential for such occurrences at any part of Burkina Faso. So it's about collaboration, because you don't have the chance to deploy maybe your army, your police to go and protect Ghanaians within the sovereign state of Burkina Faso. The security of Burkina Faso depends on the authorities in Burkina Faso. So whatever work you intend to do must be done through the government of Burkina Faso. You can't do otherwise. So you have to be in that collaboration, get to know areas that they themselves have classified as safe. We know that the northern territory of Burkina Faso is more prone to terrorist attacks. It's not like the terrorists specifically targeted Ghanaians. More than 20 people or so have been said to be killed, and they are caught in crossfire. And so you have to find a way to advise the traders where in Burkina Faso, if they are likely to be, they may not be caught in crossfires like this.
I'm grateful to you, Ishmael Horovo, for joining us here. Dr. Ishmael Horovo Kwabla is an international relations expert there. And this is where we draw the curtain on today's top story, brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy Holy Sleep, and also by Short Pension. Trust into the future with you. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. Up next is Newsnight.
You know how much moms always say too much of everything is bad? But there's one too much mom actually approves of. Telecel's Too Much Broadband Bundle. This season, all you have to do is buy the 150 Ghana Cedis Too Much Broadband Bundle in addition to your main broadband plan and get 150% bonus data. That's right.
Simply buy the 150 Ghana Cedis Telecel Too Much Bundle in addition to your main broadband plan and receive 150% bonus data. Dial *900#, use the Telecel Play app or visit the Telecel website to buy now.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me dana mada with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office,
Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Temania Community 4, Takrady opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Center Point Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Good evening. Welcome to News 9. Tonight, Environmental Protection Authority launches full-scale investigation into over 200 Shanfan machines seized at Tema Port, allegedly imported by an unidentified Chinese national, as the authority intensifies its crackdown on illegal mining. We have details as the convener of the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining commends the EPA and insists the fight against galamsey must begin at Ghana's ports.
Also tonight, NDC General Secretary calls out opposition NPP and throws a challenge to the party to collaborate in implementing sweeping reforms to tackle votes buying across party structures.
Some possible collaboration could be done in that level. But that will be asking for a lot, demanding from our friends on the other side. But I hope to God that they will be able to see this also and say, listen, this could be an opportunity for them also to resolve that problem.
Plus, his revelation about a small group of highly placed individuals within the NDC were pushing for President Mahama to attempt a third term.
And more questions are emerging over Interpol's decision to delete former Finance Minister Kenneth Gyasi from its red notice alert as Old Tafel MP formally rise to the office of the Special Prosecutor, demanding the legal basis behind the anti-crime agency's action. We have details shortly in business.
Cocoa industry players describe as prudent cuts in salary and other benefits by staff of Cocoa Board.
In sports,
we'll hear from the president of the Ghana Football Association, Keto Kreku, who's been questioning the scrutiny of the Black Stars budget.
And a bit later, wildlife offenders to face tougher penalties as government moves to tighten its wildlife protection regime, with tougher penalties set to take effect under a new legislative instrument.
And at this time, we're going to, as we were, be punished severely than the previous regime. So
we got the latest of these and many other stories coming up in the next 60 minutes. You can be a part of this show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 1111 997. My name is Kenneth Gyasi.
My name is Pearl Ofori.
Details shortly.
Tonight, the General Secretary of the NDC, Fififia Vikote, is calling out the opposition NPP and has thrown a challenge to the party to collaborate in implementing sweeping reform to tackle vote buying across party structures. The NDC has set up a 7-member committee to investigate and make proposals to tackle vote buying during party elections at all levels. Now, it follows the widespread case of vote buying that marked the party's Ayawasu East parliamentary primaries last week.
Mr. Kwete said on PM Express that beyond the recall of Baba Jamal as Ghana's ambassador to Nigeria following his alleged complicity in buying votes as an aspirant in the primaries, 2 other government appointees, including the wife of the deceased MP for the constituency who also contested, will be sanctioned. He explained the widow will be removed as board member of one of the state agencies. He spoke to my colleague Evans Mensah.
Allow this to come back. But I'm saying the brazen nature of what we saw in also primaries, with people literally carrying what you call the goodies in the open, and some of them have the courage to even grant interview to defend it. I mean, we thought this was too much, So, and then again, we thought also that listen, we reset agenda. We simply can't say that because it's happened in the past, let's allow it to continue. So we felt this is a good opportunity to try to start addressing this problem, to find a sustainable solution to it.
Except that the eventual outcome was much ado about nothing. In other words, the status quo prevailed. That is fair.
No, I disagree. Let me tell you what the positives were. As you yourself rightly mentioned, the positives were that one, the party clearly acted and said, this is not acceptable. That's the first one. You've not seen that happening in the past. NDC never did that in the past. MPP has never done that. They just finished their primaries. You realize that they never been bothered, because as far as I'm concerned, it's for them, it's business as usual. Let it continue forever. We say no, he cannot. That's fine. 2, the very fact that there is a recall of the person who is a permanent, who had a what you call permanent position in government. That's also another very important step. 3, the party set up a committee, and the committee's mandate was to, first of all, investigate and confirm whether this is really what it was. 2, to make a recommendation as to how we can resolve the problem. So our aim has always been a long-term resolution of the issue, because that really is what it is we are pushing towards. At least we have 2 others who are also on board positions. We took part. Let them also be moved out of their board position. The party again is sending a signal that there is some penalty. But that's not all. The party also said, let's now set up a 7-member committee that would be able to go into the whole dimension of vote buying in any internal election in order to make recommendations as to how we can, what you call, permanently deal with this. So I would say that actually is what this whole thing has been leading about. What is worth doing is worth doing well. And the end result is to make sure a solution is found. And we are on course towards finding that solution.
Those other 2 aspirants who also were on boards, have that punishment been effected?
We have made a recommendation to the president. I mean, I think because of I'm sure it shouldn't be a problem. That should be done.
So you're expecting that they will be removed from the board as punishment for buying vote in Ayawaso East?
Absolutely.
Who are the other 2? Because
I think that'll be the next 2. I think the chairman of the committee, the chairman of the past chairman of the constituency who resigned to contest, and also the widow.
She's also on the board.
The wife of the late MP also on the board. So we recommend that the 2 of them who also are on board must be removed as well.
The work that you're doing currently obviously will lead to some changes. If NDC does it, of course you take the reputational benefit, but some suggest that this must be a system-wide reboot.
Yeah.
Which means it's not only NDC, you are the big guys.
I agree.
You can set the tone with yours, but it's good if your other side
I completely agree, especially the MPP. I mean, there are if they are minded. The first one we see, that's why the hypocrisy has to stop. If I were the MPP in this conversation, I would not even pretend as though it's not happening in my party. I've had a few audacity to want to condemn what was happening as far as this also EC election is concerned. I'm like, please, I mean, you should be the last to talk. You know, because in your party is far, far, far worse. So this is a moment to want to acknowledge that this is a problem that's happening in your party too. And so I see this is actually an opportunity for NDC and MPP to say, on this one, we actually should see how, because part of the solution might require a certain understanding of the 2. So, for example, if we decide to have an expanded membership, very huge delegate system, which allows for every registered member of the party that is in good standing to be allowed to vote, which makes it virtually impossible for people to be able to induce or buy, there must also be a system that prevents, let's say, NDC people from going to join NDC membership because somebody has come to us and come and do my, so that way I can use it to win. The same thing for MPP not to cross into. So some possible collaboration could be done in that level. But that will be asking for a lot, demanding from our friends on the other side. But I hope to God that they will be able to see this also and say, listen, this could be an opportunity for them also to resolve that problem.
Fifi Kwete is the General Secretary of the governing NDC. Let's go onto the telephone lines right now and speak to the national organizer of the opposition MPP, Henry Nanabuachi. Henry, welcome to the program. Fifi Kwete mentioned the MPP. He called out the MPP that you should at least take a cue from the punitive measures they've taken since the allegations of vote buying came out, and that you should be the last people to condemn those vote buying allegations that came up during the primaries in the Ayawaso East constituency. Good advice you take?
Thank you very much, and good evening. You mentioned of some punishment. You say my senior brother Fifi Kwete alluded to. What kind of punishment?
Well, as you speak right now, the widow, for instance, who contested, she is on a board, and Fifi Kwete says he'll make sure that the widow is removed from the board that she is on at the moment. Not punitive.
First of all, he doesn't have that authority. I mean, he cannot say that for sure. He is only saying that they have recommended. In fact, if the president, at the time he took the decision to relieve or to recall Baba Jamal from his appointment as an ambassador, they should have done the same. You see, this whole thing is a facade. It was so shameful. The level at which this inducement occurred was so shameful, and it attracted the attention of the entire nation, and it has never happened like this before. Yes, we've been hearing of it. That maybe some people induced with some amount of money, but where Baba Jama himself even came out to admit, and you saw people flaunting these items, sharing of motorbikes, sharing of 32-inch TV, sharing of huge bags of rice for a 25 kg, sharing of huge, amounts of oil, as if they are caterers, as if they are school feeding caterers, sharing of so many items. In fact, I saw one picture where one of the delegates had packed all of these items that he received, and he was showcasing it. So I think that his attempt to say that all political parties are involved in this is quite shameful. Look, yes, we've been saying it all the time, but what happened in Ayawaso is during the NDC primaries has never happened before.
Henry, has the MPP ever engaged in vote buying?
No, that is what I'm trying to say, that even our last presidential primaries, there are some people who said that, they received some 100 Ghana cedis as transportation. So some people may construe that to be inducement. But what happened in Ayawaso East during the NDC's elementary primaries was so shameful. And that is what we are talking about. And there was no punishment meted out to these people, these corporates.
Right.
Why? Because now Baba Jama is still benefiting from the kind of inducement he engaged in during the said primaries. He's still enjoying, he's still their candidate.
Henry, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, shortly after these, allegations of vote buying came up, released a statement that they are investigating that. And in fact, they mentioned that they are investigating the MPP presidential primaries as well. We've not heard anything from the party executives, whether you are also investigating anything like that, comparable to what the NDC, for instance, did.
Look, what the OSP did is even more irresponsible. I don't even want to talk about it. In fact, we had already had our presidential primaries close about a week or so. There was nothing from the OSP. Immediately, the Ayawaso by-election, the presidential primaries, the parliamentary one for the NDC came out. Then he issued a statement, and just the opening paragraph, talking of the MPPs, where because he wanted to engage in some equalization mechanism. And for me, that is why I'm saying that I thought that statement was very irresponsible. Look, this is what the entire country is talking about.
Henry, the entire country was also talking about the allegations of vote.
That is what I'm talking about, the level. If somebody comes and then you give the person 100 Ghana cedis as transportation, it is normal.
I never heard of any 100 Ghana cedis. In fact, all the things that I heard during your presidential primaries were that people said they were given 500 cedis. Others said
that
they
is
were
what
giving,
I'm trying to say, that 500 Ghana cedis.
If I may.
I get your point very well. 500 Ghana cedis cannot induce anybody.
So are you saying
we are talking about 40,000 to 50,000
Henry, which candidate gave 40,000 Ghana cedis per person?
Take your time. I'll run you through. I've done the computation. You talk of motorbikes. You talk of 32-inch TV. Each delegate received 9,000 Ghana cedis. Bags of rice, the 25 kg for the huge ones. The gallons of oil for huge ones. A box of what? Abonike, even Abonike, they shared Abonike. A lot of items, almost about 20 different items. You do the calculation. Each person received, that is in terms of, when you do the calculation in terms of monetary, 40 to 50,000.
Right. So your definition is not about money is being given to people, but the scale at which that is what you describe as vote buying, correct?
No. What I'm saying is that the attempt by Fifi Kuti to just try and equalize the entire situation, and then to say that, look, they have rather they've done or they've commissioned a body to go into it, and for that matter, the MPP should also. It is because what you did, the shameful act, what happened in Ayawaso East, it has never happened before. It's so shameful, and especially when Baba Jama himself said it, that yes, I've shared TV, so what? Yes, I did it. It is something I've been doing. I've been helping people. I've been doing. The person himself admitted on live TV.
Harry, so you won't admit that the NPP also engages in vote buying, would you?
No, I would say that, that is what I'm trying to tell you, that for us, just even the presidential primaries, what I would say is that it's transportation. And clearly, if you invite somebody from his home to come to a particular voting center and you are supporting the person with transportation, it is not an inducement.
Oh, dear.
But if you give 40,000 to 50,000 Ghana cedis to one person, it is inducement.
Henry, I am baffled by...
But you do agree that vote buying has become a systemic problem across all the political parties, don't you?
No, I agree that some of the monetization of our electoral process should be looked at, with a national attention. Right? All of us can have that debate. We can even propose some laws. And a lot of people have even proposed that we need to have an expansion of our delegate system. I've heard some political scientists recommended such an act. I agree, we can have, but the attempt to equalize, that is what is troubling. You don't equalize.
Right.
You don't go for your parliamentary primary, share 40 to 50,000 Ghana cedis to people, and then come and equalize and say that, oh, MPP, they are doing it. They should be bold enough to also do what you are doing. No, it is because what you have done, the skill. And this is a party that was talking about monetization of our electoral process. They were in opposition recently, and they just came to power. And today, they are able to share 32-inch TV, motorbikes, and all of these goodies. 40,000 to 50,000 Ghana cedis.
Well, I'm wondering how the 32-inch and motorbike amount to 40,000 anyway.
Not only that, I told you almost about 20 different items.
Right.
And not only that, afterwards, they also received, each person received close to about 9,000 Ghana cedis.
Right.
From all the other aspirants.
Henry Anabuachi, I want to thank you very much. He's the national organizer of the opposition NPP.
Let's bring you more on Evans's interview with Fifi Fiavikote, because he also spoke about a small group of highly placed individuals within the NDC who were pushing for President Mahama to attempt a third term.
What I said was this, that there is a group of people in the party, and I know who I was talking about. Just, of course, I'm not going to mention their names in public. There's a group of people in the party, and I'm talking people who are highly placed. I'm not even talking about what ordinary supporters are saying on the street and so on. No, I'm talking about there's a group of people who are highly placed, who are up to shenanigans, talking about a third term, when the president himself has declared clearly that 2028 is the end of his term. Publicized it, declared it. Now, so this group of people who are doing what they are doing, exactly are behaving like sycophants, because they are behaving as if they care about John Mahama more than the vast majority of the party. And so I was talking specifically to people, and of course, some of those people know themselves. Some people have misconstrued and say, oh, he was referring to parliamentarians who made that statement. No, I wasn't talking about the parliamentarians, because I know what happened on the parliamentary floor was simply our colleagues in parliament mocking the NPP. Counting them. So that was not what I was referring to. I was referring to a number of moves that were being made by people highly placed who should know better. And I'm happy that the message has gone through.
But you were criticized by some publicly that use of the word, calling them sycophants, was too strong. You say you didn't call them sycophants, but you used the word.
No, I'm talking about a specific group of people, and I maintain that they were being sycophantic.
What were they doing exactly that required you to brand them as such?
I don't need to go into the details.
Were they trying to influence the president to change his own?
No. I mean, actually, the president is not we are changing his position, but let's just say that
they were trying to sow the seed.
They were doing things that it was important for them to be called to order, and I think it's clear because whatever machinations they were in place,
and they stopped.
Of course,
and they stopped.
Of course, I mean, what's the point? It's a done deal. It's not happening.
They stopped because you called them out publicly?
Because they know that it's not happening. Because there's no way you are changing the president's mind anyway. And the party has come out clearly to also say that no, it's not on.
That there again is the General Secretary of the NDC, Fifi Kwete. Now, the new Patriotic Party at its National Executive Committee meeting earlier today has resolved to elect Director of Election, a portfolio which was hitherto an appointed one, where the decision was part of the amendments made during the party's National Delegates Conference last year. My colleague Gemma Apia was at that meeting earlier today and joins me in the studio with more. Gemma, what more do we know about this particular meeting?
So, Ken, the party actually had two meetings today. The first was the National Executive Committee meeting, where the party executives discussed the modalities and arrangements for its internal elections. Now, the second meeting was the National Council meeting that was held to ratify the decisions made by NEC today. The party will not give details of the meeting, but what we are told is that they have resolved to adopt the bottom-up approach in the internal reorganization. So they will start with the elections at the polling station level right up to the national executive level. The third national vice chair of the NPP, Osman Masawudu, told us that they have also resolved to elect director of communication portfolio, a portfolio that was hitherto an appointed one. Listen.
We talk about top-bottom approach. So today we have ended presidential election that has won massively by our current flag bearer, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. So today, the National Council and NEC are clear. They're clear voice that we are going to start by the polling station. After the polling station, we come to the electoral area. After the electoral area coordinators, we come to the constituency executives. After the constituency executive, we come to the regional executive before we come to the national executive election. And if you look at one amendment that has changed in this old system to the new system is that our communicating directors from constituencies to national, we're appointing them. But now, per the amendment we just did at the Legon campus, we are now going to constitutionally elect every communication officer of the party from constituency. Then we were appointing constituency communication officer. Now they are elected. The director of communication, Anyagba, he was appointed. Today, currently, he is going to be the position. His position is going to be elected position. So these are the few changes that has come to the national headquarters in the constitution of the new Patriotic Party. Thank you.
Now, the long-run and High Court trial involving multimedia journalist Lateef Idrisu, the Inspector General of Police and the Attorney General has taken a significant turn after senior state lawyers informed the court today that the IGP, Christian Tete Yohunu, and the Attorney General are committed to compensating the journalist in a bid to bring closure to the matter. The case, which stems from the alleged brutal assault of Mr. Idrisu by police officers in March 2018, while having a protest outside the Criminal Investigations Department, has dragged on for more than 8 years without any resolution. Now, joining me via telephone now is lawyer for Lateef Idrisu, Samson Ladiayeni. Good evening and thank you for your time on Newsnight. Counsel, you were in court today. Well, the state has agreed to initiate compensation talks in this case. Your reaction to this approach by the state?
So this is actually not new, and it is not that the state agreed to initiate compensation talks. The representative of the Attorney General was only informing the court about settlement attempts that have already begun or recommenced. As you may know about this case, settlement attempts have been mooted and botched in the course. So the state, the Attorney General's representative was only informing the court today that instead of us continuing our cross-examination of their witness, the Attorney General has instructed that they inform the court that the settlement process is advancing well
and therefore the desire will be that the continuation of the trial should be halted pending the resolution. And we are not against the settlement. We have never been against the settlement. All we had to say was that noting the previous situations where the matter was adjourned over and again to await settlement, and in the end, the settlement was abruptly, as it were, interrupted or watched by those who actually wanted it to be done. We would prefer that the trial will be going on side by side, and if settlement is reached, then the trial will terminate. So we agreed and suggested that instead of perhaps a longer adjournment, we should just have a month's adjournment.
Okay.
And at the return date, we must be returning with a conclusive terms of settlement for the court to adopt. And if that is not the case, then on the return date, the trial must resume. So that's where we are.
Well, I also want to find out, you've followed this case for 8 years, of course, Representative Lateef Idrisu. Going forward, do you think that naming and prosecuting officials directly creates stronger deterrent rather than state-funded compensation, as we are seeing in this case?
When you put your foot in the courtroom, there are a lot of options that are opened. This is a civil case.
Okay.
This is not a criminal trial. And any suggestion that prosecuting to the end will mean somebody will be jailed or punished, and that therefore is a better option, is completely a misunderstanding of the case before the court. The case before the court is Lateef Idrisu and Multimedia, who have sued the IGP and the Attorney General in a nominal sense, as a nominal defendant, for the life-threatening assault that Lateef faced, simply for being there and trying to report on the arrest and detention of Kwaku Ayidoho at the time. And so if there is an opportunity to settle, I mean, particularly for someone like me, whose further studies is in ADR, is the last thing, I'm the last person you expect to not be interested in settlement. In any case, the reconvened settlement process with the Attorney General has been very positive about, and we all commend him for it, was actually initiated by media giants, the Professor Audrey Gajepo, Ken Ashigbe, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, Martin Pebu. There is also Alfredo Kanse, who came together and said we need to put together a petition and get to the Attorney General to look at resolving this case more expeditiously by settlement rather than going through, the trial that has been taking almost forever. And we are happy about how it has gone so far and looking forward to, a fruitful, conclusion. But as you have become aware, if the settlement once again doesn't work, the trial is going on anyway.
Okay.
And in the end, the court will have the opportunity to make a judgment one way or the other.
Okay. Samson Ladiaini, thank you so much for speaking to us on Newsnight.
You're welcome.
He's lawyer for Lateef Idrisu, multimedia journalist.
And Pearl, thankfully, we've also been joined by the General Secretary of the Ghana Journalists Association, Dominic Holoji. Mr. Holoji, welcome to the program. The GJA has, over the years, followed this case closely. Now that there's been an agreement that it will be settled out of court, is the GJA happy with this decision?
I will not say we are happy, but it's better you have something in hand than not having anything at all. So, like the lawyer stated, we also side with him by saying that it is proper that we have the trial going on while the settlement process also continues. Until we have the settlement, like the lawyer stated, concluded, we can't say that the issue has been properly dealt with. You may not know, maybe the settlement can be halted on the way or whatever. So we pray that that will be expedited and we get something in hand, and we say that over the years that the case has been in court, at least something has come out of it for our brother Latif.
And Dominic, don't you think this will set a dangerous precedent for a future potential abuse on journalists? People might feel that if they abuse journalists, they might go scot-free, and in the end, they might settle them out of court. Don't you think this is a dangerous precedent waiting to happen?
I believe you heard the lawyer when he said this is a civil case.
Yes.
So in cases like this, you have this kind of arrangement that happens. And so for the Attorney General to be handling the settlement process, and we are told it's advancing, is something that we can embrace for now. It will, like you stated, it is something that we wish we will not have, because it may serve as an incentive for people to go attacking people, knowing that when they attack people, they will be made, or the state will come in to even compensate the victim on their behalf, which is something that we don't want. But like I stated, it's better to have something in hand than not to have anything at all. You know what our brother Latif went through throughout this period. And so in some cases, you only pray for closure for some cases like this because you didn't want your friend to be in court, continuing to be in court in perpetuity, where you will not have any closure.
Right. Okay, Dominic Hology, I want to thank you very much. He's the General Secretary of the Ghana Journalists Association.
Let's stay with the court because former Executive Director of the National Service Authority, Osei Esibenchi, is set to face fresh legal trouble as state prosecutors push for new charges against him. Principal State Attorney Dufie Prempeh told the court that new information has come to the attention of the Attorney General, necessitating an amendment to the charge sheet. Osei Esibenchi has pleaded not guilty to 14 counts, including allegedly authorizing the payment of allowances to 60,000 non-existent national service personnel. My colleague Fatal Bayaga joins me in the studio with more on this. Fatal, what new information are state prosecutors referring to?
So, Pearl, according to Principal State Attorney, the Auditor General's performance audit report on the National Service Authority was submitted to the Attorney General. That was yesterday, February 16, 2026. So, Dufie Prempeh told the court that even though today's proceeding was for case management conference, the late submission of the report made it impossible to file the amended charge sheet before the court. She therefore requested a short adjournment to allow the prosecution to file the updated charges. And Pearl, the presiding judge, Kizita Nakoshi, who presided this case in Criminal Code 5, granted the request and adjourned the case to February 25 for the accused to plead to the amended charge sheet.
Fatal Bayaga, thank you so much for that update from the court.
Let's do business, and George Riafe is here with the latest. George?
Well, Ken, coming up in business, cocoa industry players describe as prudent, sweeping cost-cutting measures by Cocoa Board to help deal with the current challenges facing the industry. And Bank of Ghana insists its digital innovation drive will not undermine the use of the Ghana cedi. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, Synthesis Tanks, and Pepsodent Herbal and Charcoal.
Welcome contestants to the final round. Winner takes all. For 1,000 points, all you have to do is give me the correct answer to the following riddle. I am one place, but with the right connection, I can be 1,000 other places. Some people call me magic. Some people call me a feeling. In me, you can be anything you want to be. I'm the most common and yet the rarest place in the whole world. What am I?
A church.
Oh, wrong. Contestant 3, what's your answer?
The answer is home.
Correct! Congratulations to our winner. Contestant 3.
There's no place like home. Connect your home to super fast internet with affordable data bundles from MTN Home. Visit broadband.mtn.com.gh or your My MTN app to sign up today. MTN.
Hey, Andrea, challenge these days, new level crowd. Where did you pass?
Me, pass somewhere. I just switched for a better life. I switched for comfort. Look, your salary deserves better.
Switch?
Yeah.
How do you mean?
I switched my salary account to Fidelity Bank. Oh, okay. And that's my jackpot. I get higher loan amounts with lower interest rates, as well as personalized financial support. They gave me a loan to expand my side hustle, and the terms are just flexible.
Wow.
Your salary deserves better.
Oh, my salary deserves better. You see the way you are smiling wide? Yes, I will switch and smile wider. Your salary deserves better. Switch to Fidelity Bank today and enjoy lower interest rate, car and home loan, personalized financial support, and a smile that lasts. Switch and smile wider. Fidelity Bank. Believe with us.
If I believe with us, Fidelity. If I know I'm on your side, Fidelity.
This Val's Day, don't just say I love you. Show it with a gift that keeps your loved ones moving. From February 10th to 20th, gift that special someone a full tank of love with a Star Oil fuel voucher customized with their own photo. Visit staroil.services/store to purchase and customize your preferred voucher now. Because real love doesn't run out, it stays full. Star Oil fuel vouchers, the perfect Valentine's gift.
If you want quality, this be where you belong. Hey, tough, hey, strong. Oh, gonna shout and sing the song. When the sun they hot, syntax no break. When the rain they fall, still no shake. Builders they choose and plumbers they prove. Any project you they start.
Brushing gets more fun with your kids with the new Pepsodent Kids toothpaste. Give your smiles protection that lasts. Grab yours today from a store near you. This advert is FDA approved.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, players in the cocoa industry have described as prudent, sweeping cost-cutting measures by Cocoa Board. The regulator for the cocoa sector has announced a 20% cut in benefit for management, while senior staff are doing some 10% in salaries. Let's first hear from the president of the Concerned Farmers Association of Ghana, Obuade Obuatin Bonsu II.
Realize that Dr. Randy Abbey is somebody that listening, which is time for we the farmers to take advantage of this to send most of our challenges to him for the problem to be solved. Because we said this, that why is it that our cocoa has been reduced and then their salary is still like that and they have not reduced their salary, but at the end of the day their salary has been reduced. This shows that the government is a listening government. The CEO of Cocoa Board, he do listening and he has really listening to us. But it's up to the farmers to also to take advantage of this by engaging him frequently for him to know the challenges that is happening within the sector.
President of the licensed buying companies, Samuel Adimado, noted that this signal could be described as laudable.
So I'll congratulate Cocoa Board, the entire staff of Cocoa Board, for taking that bold initiative. It's an admission that, yes, we have a challenge. They are also part of it. And together, we would address it. As my brother, the farmer, indicated, that this is also an indication that they are listening, and therefore we need to take advantage of the current management, that they are listening management, so that we together we address all the concerns that has been in the airwaves and those that we haven't even aired out. And I also use this opportunity to thank the farmers that they have accepted, and then together they have shown the commitment that they would contribute, say what needs to be mentioned.
President of the licensed buying companies, that association, the Samuel Adimado. Meanwhile, President John Mahama has appealed to the cocoa farmers to accept the proposed cuts of the producer price as well as reforms in the sector. He also noted that this should help push government drive to add value to the cocoa beans.
It shows how unstable raw material exports are if you don't process and add value. And that means that we must take advantage of this crisis to make a pivotal change in how we handle our raw exports. And we've exported raw beans since Gordon Gaggisberg's time. For those of you who don't know Gordon Gaggisberg, he was one of the colonial governors. And Ghana at that time was the leading exporter of cocoa. And to think we're still the largest leading exporter of raw cocoa beans, that is not an accolade which we should take pride in. We should take pride in being the leading exporter of manufactured cocoa products. And so this crisis must mark a turning point in our cocoa industry. As I explained when I spoke in Addis, we collateralize the beans and they give us money to buy the cocoa and export. So because of that, we cannot even allocate enough of the beans to our local processors.
President John Mahama. The Bank of Ghana has rejected assertions that this digital innovation and virtual asset drive will undermine the Ghana City's use. Head of FinTech Innovation at the Bank of Ghana, Oreku Asari, said digital financial development are rather intended to complement the country's financial system and not regulate the local currency. He was speaking at the inauguration of the Ghana Virtual Assets and Financial Services Symposium organized by the Chamber of Digital Assets Ghana and Blockchain Innovation Ghana chapter.
Let me just reiterate that the Ghana cedi is a sovereign currency of the country, and allowing innovation to facilitate exchange of value has nothing to do with relegating our currency. So if you quite remember, some time back, communication between individuals or even institutions was via telex, then it got to fax, right? And now we have emails. What did email do? The infrastructure of email can be related to what? The internet.
And that is the head of FinTech and Innovation at the Bank of Ghana, Oreku Asari. Now, President of the Association of Ghana, Andrew Aka, has called on government to urgently engage industry stakeholders to address the rising incidence of illegal mounted boards in the country. He made the call at the press conference where the association sought to play an advisory role in the ongoing crackdown of illegal billboards.
We have a lot of information, we have a lot of data, we have a lot of thoughts, a lot of skills, know-how, we have a lot of audit and reports in the past that we are willing to share with the committee. Whoever is marking does not know whether the board is legitimate or not. And the reason is that for those who are playing by the books, would have erected their billboards first. Those who are doing illegally will go and erect around it. But we know, we have the knowledge, we have the information. That's why we are requesting that bring us on board, let us sit down. Again, there's a document prepared by the Ghana Standard Authority to come up with GS 847-2019, second edition, which will be a guideline to the MMDAs before they issue a permit, because they are the one who holds the law in their bosom to issue a permit.
And that is the president of the Advertising Association of Ghana, Andrew Aka. Now, financial consultant Charles Mensah says there's still some measures in place to deal with the serious infractions in the public sector when it comes to financial management. Now, this follows concerns that little progress is being made in dealing with the challenge in the public sector. Now, speaking to Joy Business after day one of the two-day seminar on the Public Financial Management Act, Mr. Mensah noted that this should be seen as one of the surest ways in dealing with the challenge in the country.
Addressing public sector financial challenges requires a systematic approach. First, leadership accountability is critical. Boards and chief executive must recognize the compliance with the PFM Act that is a governance responsibility, not merely a finance department responsibility. Second, institutions must strengthen internal control systems, including budgeting discipline, procurement compliance, contract management, and proper documentation. Third, continuous capacity building is essential. In fact, that's the key reason why we run this thing annually. Many infractions arise because managers do not fully understand the legal requirement under the PFM and the Procurement Act. Fourth and lastly,
and that is managing partner of Trust Consult and financial consultant Charles Mensah. They're talking about that seminar that is designed to attract heads of the various ministries and government agencies. The seminar is also aimed at strengthening compliance system and reducing audit infractions, and it's actually going to end tomorrow as well. And that's all for business on Newsnight. Back to you, Ken, and Dafia Mekbo is in with sports.
Well, thank you, George. It's now time for sports, and Benaya is here with the latest.
And in sports, Ghana Football Association President Kenneth Gyasi has questioned the growing focus of the budget of the Black Stars amid public calls for greater transparency. Now, according to Okreku, the GFA is a private sector body and therefore has no obligation to make its budget public. Now, speaking in an interview with our colleagues at Asasi Radio, he insisted that he's not against accountability, but questioned why the attention is focused specifically on the football governing body.
We dwell and waste our time sometimes on things which are needless. Okay, I mean, why do we place a lot of premium on when the real issues do exist? I don't have any problem. I mean, the president of the country have already given a directive. Yeah. The minister of the sector has carried the directive, and he will continue to carry the directive. I have no problem at all. Every line must go public. Because the point is, I only advise. I don't approve the budget. I don't disperse the budget. I don't take receipts for the budget. So for me, it's a waste of time.
And that's Get a Kreku there. And that's it for the sports segment.
Well, thank you very much, Benaya, for bringing us the latest in sports. Pearl?
Now, tonight, more questions are emerging over Interpol's decision to delete former Finance Minister Kenneth Gyasi from its Red Notice alert. The Member of Parliament for Ota for Vincent Eko Asafua has formally written to the Office of the Special Prosecutor demanding the legal basis behind the anti-crime agency's action. The OSP this week confirmed that it had received the Commission's determination concerning the Red Notice circulated through Interpol channels. My colleague Maxwell Aklobot joins me in the studio with details of the RTI request by the legislator. What are the demands of the old TAFO lawmaker?
Right, Bill, we are looking at 4 demands over here. The first one has to do with a certified true copy of the official decision letter or communication from Interpol's Commission for the Control of Interpol's Files, that's CCF, directing the deletion of the Red Notice issued against Mr. Ken Ofori Atta. And the second has to do with the full reasons and legal basis provided by Interpol for the deletion of the Red Notice, including all supporting documents, findings, internal assessments, or contextual evaluations referenced in the decision. Well, the third one has to do with all correspondence exchanged between the Office of the Special Prosecutor OSP, the Ministry of Justice, the Ghana Police Service, and the Interpol relating to 1, the initial request for the issuance of the red notice, and then also relating to the subsequent review and deletion of the said notice. And the last demand we are looking at is any internal legal opinions, memos, or advisory notes within the OSP that inform the red notice application, review, or its withdrawal process.
And what is the update on Kenneth Gyasi's situation at ICE?
Yeah, Ken. So during this research, our checks with ICE, we have that currently, as I speak to you now, Pearl, the former finance minister remains in ICE custody, and within the next 48 hours, that by Thursday, a decision will be made regarding his freedom. You will recall that during his court hearing in January, which was meant to determine whether he should be granted bail while his case actually proceeds, the judge directed that prosecutors provide evidence of extradition requests from the government of Ghana by February 19th, that's Thursday, before ruling on the bail application. So that means by Thursday, in the next 48 hours, the judge will be expected to have received the proof of extradition request in order to make a determination on whether bail should actually be granted or denied. And also separately, Kenneth Gyasi's substantive case regarding his alleged illegal stay in the U.S. is also scheduled to actually continue on April 27. So, Pearl, as I speak to you now, if the judge denies bail on Thursday, this just means that Kenneth Gyasi will remain in custody until April 27.
Thank you very much, Maxwell Akloboto, for that update. And he's with Joe News Research.
Right, and here are a few of your messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. Promise from Keta says, I wonder how the MPP man is defending that vote buying is not happening within his party. He has forgotten their recent election and members of his party complaining about vote buying. NDC is trying to eliminate that bad behavior, but MPP put a deaf ear to it as if they do not hear. Francis from Accra says, in fact, MPP national organizer speaking like that on this issue of vote buying is appalling. Ghanaians should now know the MPP is more of who and what they are. For Afenyo Markin, he's doing everything radical to be running mate to Baumia, but he will not get it. And this one from Love says, please, MPP should give us a break. They do not have the moral right to talk about vote buying. The likes of MPP's Nana B is the reason the MPP will remain in opposition. Ghanaians are discerning. There are more messages you've sent to us. We read them later in the bulletin. But in the meantime, coastal communities in Ghana's Volta region like Bakbabo and Fuveme are facing devastating impacts from coastal erosion. Bakbabo has been completely swallowed by the sea, while Fuveme has lost over 200 houses and seen its shoreline recede by more than 100 meters in the last decade. Rising sea levels, stronger tidal waves, and disrupted sediment flow from earlier sea defense projects have exacerbated the issue, leaving hundreds homeless. Ivy Setoji has more in today's climate evidence.
The waves arrive without warning, without mercy. What used to be living rooms, kitchens, and safe childhood spaces are now deep under the ocean. Experts like Dr. Tepson and Professor Gerald Albert Yiran say stronger tidal waves, rising sea levels, sand mining, deforestation, and disrupted sediment flow from earlier sea defense projects have turned this coastline into a battlefield.
Nature-based solutions have never been one of their considerations for a long time because they have been considering the hard solution, which is building sea defense walls. And these sea defense walls are very expensive, so government needs funding, and that is good. Probably one of the reasons why nature-based solutions, particularly like mangrove, is not being considered is because of the harvesting. Local people harvest the mangrove for firewood and also for building as building material.
The communities know time is running out. They are pleading for urgent and strategic intervention before their names exist only on old maps.
I left my father's house amid something for myself as a deputy, but yet still I am not comfortable. It is very difficult and we are really suffering and we need something to be done about our situation?
As a leader of the community, even if I have a place personally to relocate to, it will not be possible for me to leave my people behind and go to any other place.
Ivy Satochi for Joy News.
This story is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with CDK in Ghana, University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, with funding from Claire R4I Opportunities Fund.
Now, your hunting or consumption of certain wildlife species could result in heavy penalties as government moves to enforce stricter rules under a new legislative instrument for the Wildlife Resources Management Act 2023 aimed at ensuring stronger compliance with wildlife laws. Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources Yusuf Sulemana made the announcement during a stakeholder consultation held today. My colleague Michelle Latte was there and filed this report.
Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources Yusuf Sulemana says government has put in place a tougher regulatory regime for wildlife protection as part of efforts to operationalize the Wildlife Resources Management Act 2023 with a new legislative instrument. Addressing stakeholders at a consultation on the draft LI, the Deputy Minister explained that the gaps in the previous punishment framework had emboldened offenders, with the revised sanctions aimed at closing enforcement loopholes and strengthening deterrence.
This time, you're going to, as we were, be punished severely than the previous regime. So there's some sanctions, appropriate sanctions, prescribed in the law to take care of the gap, of people wanting to do the wrong thing because they know that the punishment is not severe. That was a gap that was observed, and that gap has been seized by prescribing severe sanctions and penalties.
He acknowledged that Ghana's wildlife resources face mounting threats from habitat destruction, illegal hunting and encroachment, warning that without decisive intervention, the country risks losing critical ecological and economic assets.
Wildlife resources are not only ecological assets, they are economic, cultural and social resources. They support tourism, provide livelihoods, preserve biodiversity and contribute to climate resilience. Yet these resources are under increasing pressure from habitat loss, illegal hunting, encroachment, pollution, and climate change. It is our intention that the LI strengthens transparency, enhances compliance, and ensures that conservation efforts are not only protective, but also development-oriented.
He reiterated government's commitment to sustainable natural resource management, including the fight against illegal mining and illegal logging.
I wish to reiterate government's unwavering commitment to sustainable natural resource management, including the fight against illegal mining, popularly known as galamsey, and illegal logging. The protection and responsible utilization of our wildlife resources is not an option. It is a national obligation.
The government says strict enforcement of wildlife laws is crucial to protect Ghana's natural heritage and ensure sustainable use of its resources. For Joy News, Michelle Latte.
Well, that's it for news tonight. But before we go, a few more of your messages you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. Wilfred from Achimota says, the hypocrisy of the MPP is simply legendary. You listen to Henry Nana Boakye and you wonder how such so-called leaders lie through their teeth. They'll never admit such a canker as this across all political parties. What's even shocking is that for him, the skill is what matters, really. And David from Tichiman says, the hypocrisy of the MPP's Nana B and his likes will make the MPP remain in opposition for good. Freddie Blay bought buses for 275 constituencies just to get delegates to vote for him. That's you saying it. Joy News cannot independently verify that. And this one says, I will be glad if Nana B had the courage to admit that in their backyard during the 2024 parliamentary primary at Ablekuma Central between Jefferson Saki and Collins Amwa, fat envelopes with pictures of parliamentary candidates were not given in the open. And is that not bad? So those are some of the messages that you've been sending to our WhatsApp platform. My name is Kenneth Gyasi.
My name is Pearl Ofori.
And after this is Geek Squad, and Adobia is here with the latest. Adobia, what are we discussing tonight?
I'm sure most of us have heard about the trending news where a Russian guy used spectacles to take videos of some Ghanaian ladies without their consent. On Geekscar tonight, we want to talk about hidden cameras in everyday objects and how they really work, because we want people to know and how they can also be on the lookout for that.
Now that you brought that up, let me look at your glasses very well. Is it a smart glass? Are you not recording me in any way?
Please.
Oh,